So it usually takes me like 10 to 15 minutes to get to class. I live at the flat, so it's a little bit longer.
It usually takes me about 15 minutes to get to class. I walk down JPA and up the stairs behind E-Way.
It's like about, I think, like 10 minutes to get to my furthest classes and maybe like 2 to 5 minutes to get to my closer ones.
Yeah, on average, it takes me about like 10 minutes to get to class. And I usually take the intersection that is between the hospital and like New Cabell Hall and the School of Commerce.
We asked a number of UVA students how long their average walk to class is, and most of them said about 10 minutes. For able-bodied students, the commute to class is nearly impossible to complete without climbing a hill, stepping on uneven bricks, or surmounting numerous VO scooters that have been haphazardly pushed over in the middle of the sidewalk. Despite all of those hazards, 10 minutes is still not a long walk at all. Unfortunately, the answers you just heard do not account for everyone. For someone with a physical disability, the time it takes to get to or between classes is made considerably longer. In order to get a glimpse of this experience, our production team walked from the Rotunda to New Cabell Hall, one of the busiest and most well-known routes on grounds, but with one catch: we were not able to use stairs. Anna, a member of our production team, gave us some of her thoughts as she conducted this walk.
One of my thoughts already is just like literally how uneven the terrain is. I couldn't even imagine trying to use crutches or like a wheelchair on it because it's just not really safe. Like the bricks are very uneven. Okay, haven't left the rotunda yet. There's one too many stairs. Oh, stairs again. Again, I'm going down a hill and it's so steep. Like, this is so accident prone. I'm finding this very challenging, and I can't even imagine what it's like in like rush hour for UVA. It's like the longest walk of my life. I'm getting like out of breath.
For a walk that typically only takes about 4 to 5 minutes, it took Anna over 15 minutes to move between buildings that are just 1,000 feet apart. Other routes between locations that are further from each other would only multiply this difference. Covering over 3,000 acres, the grounds of UVA is no small feat to navigate, and this small walking simulation merely scratches the surface of the added challenges that students and faculty with physical disabilities face every day. Welcome to You OK, UVA, a student-produced podcast about mental health and wellness at the University of Virginia. I'm your host, Yasmeen, and in this episode, I'm going to talk about accessibility on grounds and how that affects the student population. More specifically, this podcast is going to explore the ways that inaccessibility affects the well-being of peers with disabilities and contributes to the isolation they feel at UVA.
Imagine a world where every staircase has steps that are each 5 feet tall, where sports are played by individuals only in wheelchairs, where libraries are filled with books that are only written in Braille, and where the official language of your hometown or country is sign language. Imagine all of this. What thoughts and feelings come to mind? This is only a small glimpse of what it feels like to grow up and live in a world designed by people without disabilities, for people without disabilities.
That was Corey Parody, the current Deputy ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, coordinator for UVA, as he gives a TED Talk on how the built environment can either amplify or mask physical disability. He goes on to describe the exclusion he felt as a child when everyone else would be playing on the playground and he couldn't. The issue of accessibility is all too familiar for 5-year-old kids and college students alike. Brian Douglas is a 4th-year student who has bilateral tibial hemimelia, a condition in which all or part of both shin bones are missing, meaning that he uses 2 prosthetic legs. In addition to being a member of Virginia's wheelchair tennis team, he serves as the president of the Student Disability Alliance and student worker at the Student Disability Access Center at UVA, or SDAC.
So the main thing on my mind was elevation changes. Secondary was stairs. And then third was honestly just making sure I had the stamina to walk around grounds. Because first year I petitioned, I guess you could say, UVA to let me have my car on grounds, but I didn't know about any kind of parking around grounds, where to put my car when I'm going to classes, that kind of thing. And they, instead of letting me keep it close to first year dorms, they made me keep it at Emmett Ivy.
Emmett Ivy is the name of a parking garage at the edge of grounds, which is a full mile away from first year dorms.
So if I have my car at Emmett Ivy, but I live on Alderman, how in the world am I going to get my car from Emmett Ivy every morning before classes and then navigate the buses, which were also not accessible at that time, at least for me, and then go back to my dorm at night but have dropped my car at Emmett Ivy that same night? It was just a whole bunch of hullabaloo.
Brian had trouble even getting into the building for our interview about his experience navigating grounds due to the accessible entries to Clemens Library being closed.
I was hoping that there would be some handicap spots open at Shannon or Clem. Mm-hmm. There were none open. So I parked at Central Grounds, and then I was going to enter the entrances to Clem that are closer to Central Grounds. Then there's the entrances to Clem that are closest to that. I was trying to go into them, but they were all closed. I don't know why they were all closed, because Clem is open, so you'd figure all the entrances would be open, but they were closed. So I walked around, and then I came into the main entrance. It is just confusing and weird that not all the entrances would be open.
The irony of this situation is painfully clear. When we're walking around, do we ever notice the little obstacles along the way, like stairs, electric scooters on the sidewalks, or broken elevators? Even the elevation at UVA is challenging. With all of this in mind, how would navigating life in a wheelchair change the way we move through the world? Everyone comes to a university hoping to fit in, to find their place, and build a community. But when the spaces around you aren't built to accommodate your needs, it creates a barrier that goes beyond just physical access. It's mentally isolating. Brian spoke about this feeling.
I think that it kind of increased my feeling of alienation. I mean, already being Black at a PWI is one thing, being queer at a PWI is one thing, and then also having to deal with the added feeling of exclusion that comes with having a disability was very, very difficult for me. Definitely went through a lot of identity crises and breakdowns first year, but I'm sure everybody did first year. But yeah, for sure, it was rough. It was an interesting transition, especially being so far away from my family and the community that I already had in Florida.
It's a constant reminder that the environment wasn't designed with you in mind, making it harder to feel like you truly belong. This isn't something only Brian has felt. It's an experience many face, especially when disabilities, both visible and invisible, intersect with the challenges of mental health. A 2021 study by the Journal of Post-Secondary Education and Disability revealed that college students with disabilities have significantly higher prevalence rates of mental health problems and are more likely to utilize mental health services compared to students without disabilities. They surveyed over 90,000 students across 60 college campuses about their overall mental health and found that 45% of college students fit the criteria for at least one mental health issue. This number rose to 67% among those with a physical disability. The feeling of alienation is something that people with mental and physical disabilities experience daily, so it's really crucial to find a community. There are a lot of social opportunities on grounds, heading out to local bars and coffee shops, getting dinner at the downtown mall, or going to sporting events with friends. Whatever activity it may be, all of these different social activities have one thing in common. You have to travel to get there. This is something Brian touched on when we talked.
And maybe be okay with being uncomfortable sometimes, because not even just in an academic sense, but if you're going out to the corner or if you're going out to the downtown mall, then you're going to need to know how to navigate the stairs and train. You're going to need to know how to navigate the uneven turn, the bricks on the downtown mall. And you're going to need to be transparent with the people around you, because you never want to feel like your friend group is, neglecting you. And they're not aware of that. You know what I mean? If you're in a friend group that is able-bodied, they're not going to be aware of your capabilities.
Going to college is already socially challenging. You go from your town where you have your family and friends to being dumped at college where you have none of that. In almost every way, you have to start fresh, which is really difficult. College is meant to be the best time of your life. That's something we hear all the time. This added social pressure only exacerbates the challenges people with disabilities face. The places that students are expected to go, like bars and parties, these places have massive barriers, such as steep stairs, standing for long periods of time, uneven outside terrain, and people squished together in tight spaces. Brian shared his personal experience with this and gives advice on the importance of communicating what you need to the people around you.
Socially, sometimes I don't want to go up the stairs and train. Sometimes my friends will say, Brian, let's go to the corner. And I'm just not feeling handy capable. So I'm going to need to tell them, listen, guys, I'm not going out tonight. And it's nothing that, my friend group has done to me. It's not something where I don't like my friend group or they're specifically alienating me. I just don't want to go out that night. And you need to not be afraid to say that.
It is especially important to find community during times when you feel isolated because of a disability. Connecting with others who share similar experiences can provide support, understanding, and a sense of belonging that makes navigating challenges feel less overwhelming. In a TED Talk by Molly Carroll, a therapist and mental health educator, she talks about the need for human connection and why it starts with ourselves.
Our brains are wired to reach out and interact. The reward centers light up when we have connection. So when you can interact intimately and honestly with your friends and your family and your community, you strengthen your immune system, you recover from disease faster, and you actually live longer. And human connection absolutely lowers our rates of anxiety, depression, and suicide ideation.
At UVA, there are now many communities that aim to connect students with disabilities. One such group, the Student Disability Alliance, a club headed by Brian himself, hosts weekly meetings and events for students with disabilities. When our production team attended one of their Monday meetings, we were greeted with an incredibly vibrant and humorous environment where everybody had a genuine willingness to learn more about each other. Sports also play a crucial role in many students' sense of community. UVA boasts one of the largest collegiate wheelchair tennis teams, and many members have found it to be an outlet for community and happiness. Alongside tennis, wheelchair basketball and pickleball are also popular activities. By making more events accessible, students with disabilities can overcome some of the social barriers and connect themselves more with the UVA community. In addition to the social barriers, however, there are also numerous academic barriers that students with disabilities have to face. At a university as prestigious as UVA, ranked 4th best public school in the nation and #1 university in Virginia, the pressure to succeed and to thrive can be intense. The weight of this expectation and the university's reputation makes it difficult when the infrastructure isn't built with you in mind. SDAC plays a crucial role in ensuring students with disabilities have the resources they need to succeed. But even with SDAC support, students often have to be proactive by communicating directly with professors and advocating for their needs. It's a process that requires constant effort and self-advocacy.
I've been very lucky in that way, but a lot of other students with accommodations can't share that same sentiment. A lot of them have not encountered very accommodating professors, and they have disabilities that are not like mine, so a lot more chronic disabilities will have to use their accommodation more frequently, and a lot of professors aren't very receptive of that. You're going to need to be upfront with professors. Sometimes you're going to need an extension, and it's not going to be something that you can control. If you're having a flare-up, if you have a chronic illness, or if you've got an infection, if you're an amputee, or if your wheelchair is just broken that day, you're just not going to be able to come to class, and that's completely out of your hands. But you're going to need to be able to communicate that to the administration. And if you don't, then it's just going to be a detriment to you. No one else is getting hurt by that but you.
Brian also shared some advice about the importance of self-advocacy and why it's necessary to make your voice heard.
Prepare to advocate for yourself. Be ready to do that because you're going to get accommodations with SAC, obviously, but there's nobody here that knows your limitations and your capabilities better than you. Nobody here knows what you need more than you, and nobody here knows what you're capable of doing better than you. So if you don't make that known, if you don't advocate for your way, if you don't advocate for yourself in that way, then no one's going to be able to accommodate you. You know, if you're not completely transparent with not even just SDAC, but with your friend group, for instance, then you're not going to be able to enjoy your time at UVA at the fullest. Be aware of your limitations and be aware of the things that are going to make you uncomfortable.
So with many students facing difficulties navigating UVA, not just physically, but also socially and academically, what is being done about accessibility barriers, and what can we, able-bodied and students with disabilities alike, do to improve the accessibility on grounds? Over the past few years, UVA has committed to several major construction projects aimed at improving accessibility around grounds. Just in the last year, they've made an ADA-accessible bridge connecting Newcomb with the Contemplative Commons. They're also currently working on the Central Grounds Accessible Path project, a renovation for Newcomb to include an ADA-accessible ramp. The future of ADA accessibility at UVA is something Corey Parody brought up in our conversation.
There's also just a ton of different other projects that are really focused on improving access that are coming in the next, few years. Just different things that will help connect things in a little bit more inclusive and accessible way. But like I said, things just kind of take time. So it might not seem like, things change. But there's a lot that's going on behind the scenes and a lot that people are aware of in terms of things that can be improved and things that we are improving.
UNESCO designates the UVA grounds as a World Heritage Site, the only university in the U.S. to have such a title. Due to this, there is a historical barrier when discussing the renovation of certain areas. Despite this, UVA has committed a lot to improving the accessibility on grounds.
I think that, a historical place or a monument or whatever the case may be can't be enjoyed to its fullest if everyone is not able to enjoy that space. So if you're, excluding people from enjoying the significance or experiencing the significance of that place, then it's not being used to its fullest. So I think that for that reason, historical spaces should be made accessible.
As UVA continues to evolve as an institution, creating an environment that is inclusive of all students should be at the forefront. This evolution won't be overnight, nor can it be done by just a few. As Corey told us,
if you have friends that have, concerns or aren't sure what to do, advocating for them and speaking up on their behalf is encouraged. So yeah, we just all have a part to play in making sure that UVA is as accessible and inclusive as possible. We're all here to learn and improve, right? So just anything you can do to educate yourself and increase awareness around accessibility is huge. The other thing is, and to your point, accessibility cannot be done by just one person or one group of people, right? It takes everybody at UVA to create an inclusive and accessible environment.
One way we can all help in creating a more accessible environment is by using Report a Barrier, a UVA website that allows anyone to notify the university about possible barriers to accessibility, like a blocked access ramp or a broken elevator. And if students would like to learn more about improving accessibility at UVA, they should contact ADA coordinator at virginia.edu. Accessibility isn't just about accommodating people with disabilities. It benefits everyone. It can assist incoming first-year students with transporting their luggage and help them to explore grounds with improved signage. New parents can easily bring their baby strollers as they navigate around grounds. Moreover, in case of injury, wheelchair access ensures students can still go to classes without difficulty. This shows that we all have a stake in creating a more inclusive environment. By working together as a university community, we can make grounds more accessible and ensure it's a space that can be enjoyed by everyone. This podcast was produced by Anna Frye, Ryan Milcetic, Yasmeen Ofleh, and Charles Zhao as part of a collaborative project for Professor Steph Sarasso's Writing with Sound class at UVA. Special thanks go out to Brian Douglas and Corey Parody. A full list of audio and textual sources used in the production of this podcast can be found in the transcript associated with this episode. Thanks for listening.